The first one, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen, and he's going to talk a little bit about this first issue, which is about being over the fence.
Hi, everyone. So the first site that we wanted to show you was Veterans Affairs. So as many of you who are clients or have interacted with us might know, we have a product called Job Blaster, which pushes out jobs through Google and helps candidates and allows you to sort of have a more native experience when it comes to finding a job on a site. The advantage of having Job Blaster for us is that we get to see what people search for. What's really great about that is that when you look in aggregate, we start to notice some trends. One of the big trends that we noticed is that a lot of people do what we call blank searches. And those blank searches are when somebody doesn't enter in any keyword, they don't pick any drop-downs, and they're just putting in a search there. We asked ourselves, why do we think people are doing this? And what we realized in sort of talking to folks and looking at some of the data was that so many people just wanted to see how many jobs were out there. Because if you're a company that doesn't have, as many tech startups do, sort of 18 jobs only, and you've got hundreds, maybe thousands of open positions, it can be a little bit daunting to know sort of what am I getting into, how much do I need to filter, or can I just look through the site? So for VA, this was an example where there's thousands of jobs out there, and a lot of people were doing blank searches, and we thought, how can we solve this kind of over-the-fence problem to allow people to peek a little bit beyond and see what they're going to get into? An example of the solve here was if you look at this openings in your area, it's showing you the specific open positions that are within a particular radius. In this case, it's generally on a state level. So it gives the user of the site a little bit of insight into what they're going to get into, to know that, hey, if there are 1,000 jobs out there, I really need to make sure that I put in a keyword that's going to be specific. But if there are only 2 jobs, I can probably just start browsing from the get-go. So that's a good example of really kind of seeing some that over-the-fence problem explored in one way. I'd also note that here you're sort of seeing typography again being able to be brought to life. For VA, it's a pretty simple typography. There's not a lot of fanciness that's going on with it, but that's conveying also part of the character of the brand, which is a very sort of simple, clean, easy-to-use brand. So if we go to the next example, you'll see another example of over-the-fence problems, and you should all be getting a link right now to nurturegreatness.com. Now, for Nurture Greatness, this is over-the-fence viewed in a different way. Everybody really is into video these days. I don't think that's saying anything surprising or new to you. But the challenge for a lot of people is not everybody wants to click on the video. Not everybody really wants to explore into that. So what we're seeing more and more sites do, and we'll also see this with a later example, is using the silent video format. The silent video provides a level of texture, and it gives you a sense of the brand without actually having to view the video, which is a really kind of different way of exploring this. And if you click on that link, you'll be able to see this nice big fat video up at the top, which really begins to sort of allow you to peer into the organization and see it pretty clearly. And with these over-the-fence problems, one of the really critical things that you do is sort of think, what are those little areas that users might not quite know what you mean? Particularly with this, it might be something around nomenclature. So many businesses have specific nomenclature that they use around jobs, and this is an area we'll also look at later. How could you provide some users more context around that? That might be an area to begin to think about. So maybe it's as simple as when you've got a position, that if you hover over that position, it provides a little definition of how you, as a company, define that. That might be a really good example of an over-the-fence problem. Another example of this is seen on Marriott's site. And this was a recent update that they just pushed out. But if you look at Marriott's site, and actually if you search for something like housekeeper, this is an example of the job page. But on that Marriott site, what you'll see is in the list of results, they give you examples of employee-submitted photos. It's really nice, particularly in the move towards authenticity on the web, because people really just don't want to see a lot of marketing collateral is what we know in basically almost every candidate survey is people don't trust marketers, which is painful to hear as an advertiser. But as Kai's showing you right now, when you look at housekeeping, there is under those search results, you'll see in some cases they have the marketing collateral, but in some cases, like the one that he's highlighting, there is an employee photo listed. And then when you click into that, it's giving you a little bit of sense of what's going to be beyond there. You'll be able to see that actual employee photo, which is a pretty cool example of a very simple little detail which can really say a lot about an organization and, frankly, how much they trust the people in that organization.